Yeah, we are in the place to be. Yeah.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is January 18th, and you're watching the Kirk Anderson Show. Today, I have a special guest with me, a good friend of mine, and also my Assistant Fire Chief, Joe Stage. And I want to welcome you to the studio. Thanks for being here today. We got a lot going on right now. It's cold outside, and we've been experiencing a lot of colder weather that can wreak havoc on your pipes and on the city's pipes. So hopefully wherever you're at, you're staying warm and things are going well. Today I want to talk specifically about an incident that happened back in October on the 29th where which led to the city and the fire department giving a special award to Joe called the Life Saving Award, which is one of the honors that we give to people when they go above and beyond and are maybe even in the right place at the right time and are able to save someone's life. We also do some other cool awards sometimes if you happen to be on scene where someone's having a baby and they're not in the hospital. You might get the Stork Award or the Delivery Award. And so those are kind of the mythological awards that you don't always get as a firefighter, but when you're in the right place at the right time, you get those. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but let's just introduce Joe. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you interested in the fire service.
Yeah, thanks, Kirk. I appreciate this. Joe Stage. I've been on the service for just over 14 years. What interested me the most was during the downturn back in 2009. I was laid off, with work, and the guy's house across the street had a carbon monoxide call, and the fire trucks came, and big crews showed up, and I was just watching them out my window, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. When you're a little kid, you see the fire trucks, you like that, right? And even as an adult, that still carried forward with me. And the next day, I actually went to the fire hall in the evening, because I knew it was a volunteer department, and met with a couple folks and got a tour, got an application, and applied for the application. And then that was in November, and here we are, 14 years later. I've lived in St. Croix Falls for the last 17 years. I've been married for 10. I got a couple kids. My wife is pregnant with our number 3, so really excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I work locally here too. I work in the community, I stay in the community, and I live in the community. And then now I serve the community on the fire department.
Cool. Well, I met you when I was applying for the job, similar to you. My experience, I do media, and so obviously I do this type of thing. And I had been to a couple calls with the St. Croix Falls Fire Department. There's a house fire that I covered for a local paper, and then another house fire, but never really thought about joining until I became 40. So I'm a little older than you. But when I became 40, I talked to my wife and I said, this is something I've wanted to do for a long time. Would now be an okay time before I am so old that I can't help. And so she gave me the thumbs up for 5 years was what I convinced her that it would be. I'll only do it for 5 years. When I'm 45, I'll retire. Well, that was it'll be 9 years in May, and so don't tell her, but she's probably watching. But it's been a lot of fun. In that we're both first responders, and so we go to medical calls, which is a whole nother part of the fire service, and deal with injuries, with people that fall, with bleeding, and sometimes some things that we don't necessarily like to talk about. But we do that as well as the fires, the car accidents, and carbon monoxide detectors. So if you're watching on the show today and you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the feed below, and I'll share them up on the screen. But thanks for being here today. And so let's back up to October 29th. It was the fall, and you were traveling in your truck with a trailer, and you were taking a lawnmower to your mother-in-law's house. So pick it up from there. What happened as you were driving? Like, what was the deal?
Yeah, so I was headed towards my mom's house in Lindstrom, Minnesota, and I was heading west on Highway 8. You know, personal vehicle. It was a sunny, kind of a colder day, and come past Walmart. I had the green light. I was cruising, and this car pulled off of Glacier and started heading west in front of me. Didn't stop and just had a high rate of speed and was accelerating away from me. I'm like, wow, this guy's in a hurry. Well, all of a sudden, this car starts to drift into my lane. And I'm thinking, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then rides up onto the concrete median that's in front of Marketplace, right? And there's the big sign right there that for the eastbound traffic tells them to merge over and stuff like that. It's a split median. Well, he just about hits that sign. And at the last second swerves back across now would be 2 lanes and a turn lane of traffic towards Lampert's side of the highway, and cruises down. And I'm thinking, holy cow, something's really wrong here. And so I was really focused on this driver, and I slowed way down because like I don't want to get hit. You know, I've got a pretty sizable load behind me, and I drove down the center of the highway because there was also cars behind me. And it's like, you guys just stay back, you know, right? So I'm looking at situational awareness. I'm looking around my surroundings, what's going on, you know. And then at the last second, this car just careens across 4 lanes of traffic. Yeah. Westbound and eastbound in a split second, right?
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with Highway 8, Highway 8's kind of the main artery. It goes from through Minnesota by the Twin Cities all the way. You can take it well into Wisconsin. So it's a main thoroughway. It's 4 lanes, and then there's a lot of time a turn lane in the middle. And so what Joe's talking about is this car going from one side of the highway all the way to the right side, and then shooting across 1, 2, turn lane, 3, 4, oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
And then going down into.
Yep. And so then as I'm traveling still west, this driver now is in the ditch, and I envisioned kind of like the old Dukes of Hazzard, right? They fly the generally off of the jump, right, and down, and he goes in down this very steep embankment, right, and I lost complete sight of him. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any dust. I didn't hear anything. And so I turn my hazards on, you know, I'm in my personal vehicle, and I pull into where Joggish is, and I whip around real fast, and I start heading eastbound, and I stop at the location where he went into this embankment. Well, at the same time, westbound traffic is still coming, right? I jump out, and I run around my truck, and I'm looking, okay, what's going on? Is this a deep embankment? Did he hit a tree? Is he in a tree? You know, is the vehicle on fire, upside down, right? I'm starting to kind of apply some of our training, you know, looking at scene size up. I'm looking at different things, and I see the vehicle in the water, which I was not expecting.
Yeah. Did you even know there was a pond down there?
I had no clue there was a pond there, and I've lived here for, you know, half my life.
From the highway, when you drive by, you're elevated, but you don't typically look down there. And so I didn't know, and I've lived here for 20 years. I didn't know that there was a pretty sizable holding pond down there. Yep. What was the temperatures like that morning and that evening? It's October, but the 29th we had 5 inches of snow on the 31st. So, this was right before Halloween. So what were the temps like?
Yeah, so the temperature on that day, I do believe was like high 20s, right? Okay. I think parts of the pond that we went into had ice on it.
Right.
You know, towards the trees down into where the sun doesn't reach.
Right.
So with cold air temperatures, right, you had cold water temperatures too.
Yeah. So you're in your private vehicle. You're not necessarily carrying any gear per se. It's just you.
Yep.
How did you respond? Because obviously I got a page, the department got a page, and we responded.
Mm-hmm.
But for us to get as volunteers from our house or our job, this was, I think, on a Saturday, if I remember right.
It was Saturday morning.
So we're all doing stuff at home. I was at home. We got to get to the station. We got to, get in our trucks, and we need to get there. So that's going to be several minutes.
Correct.
How did you get people moving?
Yeah. So as first responders, like Kirk had mentioned, and as fire officers such as myself, we carry a portable radio, right, that we can talk to the Polk County Sheriff's Office Dispatch Center. We can talk to each other. And so I'm always carrying my radio with me. And when I stopped, I got out, I assessed the scene, assessed what was going on. I got on the radio right away with County Dispatch, identified myself as a portable radio, and basically explained the situation very quickly. You know, I says, I'm reporting a one vehicle accident in a pond. I'm in my POV. I need fire, EMS, immediately.
Okay.
And so they acknowledged that, and then I started making my way down to start assessing the patient and doing a secondary assessment of the situation.
Yeah. So this individual, and I'll show some photos of this individual ended up, luckily, actually, if he would have had a hard landing, he probably would have rolled the car and done some significant damage. But he ended up in a pond, but the car was floating, but sinking.
Yeah. So when I first made my way down the embankment, which was probably close to 50 feet or so, I realized the car, I could still see, 2/3 of the door of the car. I was like, oh, maybe it's on soft, mucky ground, maybe it's going to sink a little bit because of the soft mud, whatever. And so I ran back up to see if I could I had some tow straps in my truck to see if maybe I could help the person get out. But then a passerby who had also stopped, which unfortunately has not been identified yet, yelled, "The car is sinking," which then triggered a thought process like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I am by myself and it's cold and the car is sinking. And I know, my team is coming. I know the trucks are coming, but it could still be several minutes. And I don't know how fast this car is. And I guess now I don't know the state of the patient.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the struggle, and I guess it's kind of a good thing. We don't always know what happens with the patient after the fact. And I think you were probably referring to like the state of the patient in the car. But just a note, like we don't have contact with the patients after we see them generally, unless we see them at Walmart and they thank us or something.
That's true.
But so when that Good Samaritan stopped, he assisted you, and then he said, "Hey, I'm cold. I'm going to get my truck and go home." And we still don't know who that guy was, but we'd love to thank him. Yep. And so you run down, the car's sinking. You're trying to get the gentleman's attention, but
so I run down the embankment. I'm yelling at the driver, right? So the driver, as you can see in the photos, facing away from me, right? And so I'm where the guy in the rescue suit is, kind of standing on the shore. I'm throwing some rocks at the car. I'm trying to get his attention, and that's a pretty good distance, right? So voice may not carry into the vehicle. The windows were up. I run around to the west side of the pond, and there's a culvert, and I jump the culvert. I run around. Now I'm on the wood side, as you can see.
Yeah, so if you look at this picture here, he's on the far side where the woods are. He's not in a gumbo suit for water rescue. He's in his clothes.
I'm in my clothes. Yes.
Yeah, so this is our team that came later, but you can see the steep embankment. This doesn't do it justice. You can see where the car was when we were pulling it out, and it was partly out of the water at this point.
Yep.
Okay.
So now I'm facing the car. I'm facing the windshield. And again, I'm still throwing sticks. I'm still throwing rocks to try to get this patient's attention. And it's not working, right? And the guy that had yelled, "The car is sinking," had also joined me on that backside of the pond. And I looked at him and I says, "Can you swim?" Because I says, "We're going to end up in the water."
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of sidestepped, hesitated a little bit, not real cool with that idea.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Right? That water was cold. And so I'm wearing a jacket, I got shoes, I've got phone and wallet and all that stuff. And so I take all that off because I know if I get in that water, I could become someone who needs to be rescued too, right?
Right.
And so I lunge into the water. And by this time, the car is sinking. It is now probably mid-chest.
Yeah.
Right on the car. So right up just above the window line. And I think I got 2 minutes tops. Not only for myself, because this water is going to be absolutely freezing, and then also then for the vehicle to be in the state that you can see there, which unfortunately, if you're buckled or if you're a shorter person, that's probably not a survivable condition.
Yeah.
And so I plunged into the water, and when I jumped in the water, it felt like 1,000 needles hit my skin.
I bet.
It was so cold, and it was murky. The mud was actually a lot deeper than I thought, because I tried to step and I just sunk like, straight to my knees.
Yep.
It's like, okay, now I got this to deal with, right? And so I get up to the car, and I'm taking my hand. I am beating on the window, on the driver's side window that was at the time was still up.
Mm-hmm.
And the vehicle was still running. I don't know how, but the vehicle was still running, and my foot touched the front left side tire, and it was still in gear.
Really? Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah, aqua car.
and so finally, the driver realized that something is going on. Okay, why is this guy yelling? Why am I wet? And he rolls down the window, I bet you about this much.
Just a couple inches.
Just a couple inches just to talk to me, right?
At this point, he's maybe in shock, and he doesn't necessarily realize that, like, he's in a pond and it's cold.
And yes, exactly. And I am freezing now. Right?
Yeah.
I'm in a t-shirt. I took my jacket, my sweatshirt off. I am absolutely cold. And so when he rolled down the window about that far, right,
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed it with my hands. So in case he rolled it up, I could still, if I had to pull it hard enough, I could hopefully break the window.
Break the window up, sure.
But I didn't have enough leverage. I didn't have enough strength to do that. He didn't thankfully roll up the window. I was able to reach my hand as far down as I could up to about my elbow to the front, and I was able to feel around for some buttons, and I hit an unlock button, and then I moved my hand, there's the window button, I hit the down button.
Right.
But I couldn't get the door open because now it's filling with water.
Right. You got back pressure.
And with that window coming down, the water's really starting to rush in, and it's now easily to the driver's neck, between the neck and shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get this guy out of here.
So at this point, was he like helping you escape? Like, was he like, oh, this isn't normal?
No.
Or was he?
He was worried about his car keys and his coffee cup. And so when he says, I need my coffee cup, I knew right then there was something medically wrong, because that's not what I would worry about.
Right.
I'm in the vehicle, right? And so as things are going on, I hear my team coming, right? I hear the sirens. I hear the cop cars. I hear the fire trucks coming. And I think, okay, I've got backup. I kind of took that half a second to kind of reassess and calm down.
Yeah.
Because I knew my team was coming. And as I'm trying to get this patient out of the water, I finally get the door open. I realize this guy is a very tall guy, a heavier guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, I was about to yell to the passerby that stopped me, right? Well, lo and behold, the Lakes Region's EMS guy was right next to me.
Yeah.
It actually kind of startled me because I wasn't expecting him. So that gentleman, the Lakes Region guy, did the same thing. He pulled up, he kind of disrobed everything, and he jumped in the water from the opposite side, from the highway side, and he swam across the
He
pond.
went the long way.
He went the long way, yeah. And he was next to me, and we yanked this driver out, because now the water's over his head. So we yanked him out,
right,
and grabbed the belt, grabbed the jacket, the cuff, and we start kicking. We start bringing him to the wood side, which is the shorter distance, to get this patient to shore. And I'm in the water for maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes at this time. And my hands are numb, my toes are numb. I am shivering,
So in these pictures, I'll go back to one of these pictures here. This photo here, we have one of our team members that is in the water. They're trying to hook the car up to a winch for the tow truck, and we winch it up this steep embankment here. I'm on this side over here in a Gumby suit.
Mm-hmm.
They're insulated. We do ice training in them. You don't feel the water. You didn't have the luxury of that. And so while we're doing this, I'm watching up at the top of the hill where you're standing and where the EMS guy from Lakes EMS was, and you're covering with blankets and trying to dry off and get a change of clothes or whatever, and seeing the patient actually get into the ambulance, and so we know that person's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a chaotic scene. So what happened? What happened as far as like you got dried off? Did you take off? Did you hang around? Like, what's the procedure for you?
So what I did is I was kind of the initiator of the scene, right? So yeah, I get out of the water. We get the patient to the cot. I made sure that I was with the patient the whole time because I made initial contact. We have that kind of that one-to-one relationship now, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows who I am. I know who he is. I want to make sure I give the proper handoff to the medics, right? And so then I go back to the other side and grab all my stuff that I had taken off, and I walk then back around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the EMS guys actually gave me a warming blanket, like a giant hot hands. They gave me some towels, and they gave me some other blankets to warm up. And I didn't want to leave, because not only my adrenaline is skyrocketed, I am extremely cold.
Mm-hmm.
My joints aren't really working the way they should be working because I'm so cold. So I just went and sat in my truck.
Yeah.
I turned the heat on, turned the seat warmers on, and I just sat there and warmed up.
Right.
I took my shoes off because they were just loaded with water. And
so if you're feeling this, what do you think the patient was feeling as he's sitting in the car in shock and not mentally 100% there? Like, he's going through the same thing, obviously.
He's going through the same thing, and he was actually in the water longer than I was, because he was in that water before I had jumped in.
Yeah.
Probably another maybe couple minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those may not seem like a very long time, but when you're in that cold water, it feels like forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we brought him to the ambulance, they're checking him out. He's definitely feeling what I'm feeling, and he could be potentially feeling worse. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. He had some other issue going on that caused him to go down there too. So,
yep.
So at what point did it like settle in that like this person very easily and potentially probably we don't know obviously, but probably would have passed away had you not been right there? Because if a pedestrian, first of all, if nobody saw this guy go in, like just running through this, if this was at 2 a.m., nobody would have saw this.
Nobody would have saw this.
And he very well could have been down there for a day or so before someone even noticed.
Yep.
So the fact that you were there, that it happened, and that you were able to get in the water with, in such a quick amount of time, at what point did it settle into your head like he probably would have died, or very likely could have had hypothermia and, permanent issues? Yeah.
And that actually hit relatively quick, so I was given the kind of the situational recap, not only to the officers that were there,
mm-hmm.
to the medics, and then to you guys that had showed up, right? What's going on. I was talking to the fire chief and just kind of going through everything. And he actually had made the statement, you realize that you saved this guy's life today.
Yeah.
If you weren't here, what were the probability of anybody even jumping in that water?
Right.
It takes a different mindset to realize, hey, I'm going to have to get into this cold water.
Right.
Because not a lot of people want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people want to do that.
Yeah. And so,
for sure,
probably within the half hour I had after the scene had slowed down, we kind of took a step back, again, now reassess. And when Fire Chief Mike Dorsey had told me that, it hit.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I did. and it was like, holy cow. It's something you don't really feel, you know, often,
Right.
but when we do it as a team, hey, we all saved this person's life or the belongings,
Yeah.
and we help them out. But when you single-handedly do something like this, it hits you different.
Yeah. Well, I know when we when we arrived on scene and went down to the car and started hooking it up and just seeing the car underwater, just the roof was visible until we started messing with it, and at that point, it was evident that this is a real potential tragedy that was averted.
Mm-hmm.
So as a chief, we're always trying to recruit people. You're trying to encourage people to join.
Yeah.
On this particular day, I don't know if you could see it in the pictures, but on a Saturday, we had a fairly good, a number of guys come out, and
Yep.
but on an average day during like right now at 9 o'clock in the morning, if there were a house fire, many of our members work outside of the city. They're working in the Twin Cities or they're working in another city.
Yep.
Our response for a car accident or a house fire could be 2 or 3. And so we're auto asking for backup from another department. And
Correct.
that's kind of how it works nowadays. So when we have a situation like we had on that Saturday, we had a good response.
Yes.
Many times I might be doing 5 jobs because I might be pumping a truck, and then while the truck's doing that, I might be going and getting hose. There might be another person who's doing other jobs, like they're going into the fire, and then we're waiting for other people to show up. It can be really stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So let me back up. I'll show the picture. So last week we had our holiday party as a department in the city, and we presented you this award. It's a terrible picture because the lighting's bad, but this is Chief Dorsey, and many of you know that I'm the mayor in St. Croix Falls, and so together we presented Joe with an award. You can show it. It's a little cleaner here, but it was an honor to acknowledge that being in the right time at the right place and having the skills and the willingness to jump in to frigid water was very cool. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I think that one of the reasons that I joined the fire department was because I wanted that extra training. In fact, one of the flyers that I saw as I started developing kind of the marketing for recruitment was a flyer that said, if you've ever been on an accident and you didn't know what to do, but you wish you did, join the fire department.
Yep.
And I've been on many accidents since I've been on the fire department where I wasn't paged. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Never as crazy as your situation, but certainly there are really, opportunities for people to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And so recruitment wise, what is the average fire station dealing with right now? Because numbers are down. It's hard to get people to commit. As a assistant fire chief, what are you seeing like countywide?
It depends on some of the areas. So you take a city like St. Croix Falls, right? I feel we're fortunate. We have a 24-man roster, right, and a very good portion of them are active. But then you look at some other departments, they are down. They might be smaller communities, smaller townships, smaller cities, and they don't always get to be able to join because they don't have the people to join. Or you look at even some bigger cities, they're down as well too because people are busy with kids, busy with schools, the time commitment. So we're always actively recruiting.
Yeah.
We always want people to come and talk to us. We always want people to come and, hey, what's it about? Give me some information.
Yeah.
And then hopefully and ultimately make the decision to join.
And turnover's real.
Turnover's real.
Your life changes. So, for some people, They might age out at some point. I'm not going to feel comfortable being being on a fire scene, but right now I feel good and can contribute. But we've had members of our fire department that were in their 60s or older, and maybe they're not hoof and hose, but they're running the pump, or they're the chief, or whatever it may be.
Yep.
Other people just cycle out because they move, or because they might have kids, and their wife says, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
you need it at home." So that's just the reality. There's always turnover, and so recruitment's important.
It is, and even if you're not an active, firefighter, but someone that can support us, and carry our message that, hey, you need to support these guys, or maybe you want to cook dinners for us, be able to support that way, because you can't commit, you can't do the physical aspects of the job.
Not like at our house, but like we have a monthly meeting where we feed feed everyone. You don't have to come to my house and cook. No.
But it's just being able, just that side of it too. But it's recruitment's tough. It's always been tough. We go to the high schools, we talk to the juniors and the seniors. We've had pretty good success with that in recent years. Right.
Our department, we have 2 or 3. 3
right now. 1 just graduated. Yeah.
Okay, so but generally we do, because we have a school right in our city. We have had good recruitment from like not the junior firefighters, but the explorers,
the student program.
Yep. And I know Osceola has a number of those. I saw that posted on a website that they've got 5 or 6 people that are actively in the school learning the fire school. So
a lot of departments around the county do that. Those who have schools right next or near the station or within their district. And it's a good thing, right? You're learning a skill set, you're learning team building, you're learning, to do different things, maybe help with a career start, a career advancement.
Sure.
It might help with school applications, so there's a lot of benefits to that too. Plus, then you're, again, serving the community, you're working with, the guys and gals on the department,
So our department has not a full roster, but we're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
During the day, it's light,
but
weekends are pretty good, and in the evenings are pretty good.
Yep.
Other departments are really lacking and hurting, so we'll get called for mutual aid, or there's departments in Polk County that have partnered with other departments to just auto mutual aid. How do we recruit? What's the benefits? Like if someone's watching this and they're like, well, I've always wanted to do that, but I have no idea even how to start. Like, how do they figure out if this is a good fit for them?
The first step is to literally just come down and talk to us. We will train you from literally no experience, using the tech college programs to train you to be the full-fledged member, if you want to become an officer, if you want to become a first responder, and then carry your career. We'll train you, we'll, coach you through different things. But the first step is to just come talk to us, pick up the phone and talk to someone like yourself, right? Or you see a guy or a girl or, a student or anybody wearing a fire jacket, ask them, hey, what's it like? What's it take? We do ask, some health questions. We want to make sure you go home every night too, right? Yeah. We want to make sure that you're safe and that you go home to your families. But the first step is really just come and talk to us, and then we can start that process, right? We do go to the schools every year, and talk to the people and talk to the kids. Community outreach, Wanigan Days is a huge one.
Yep.
Right? We're out in front of the people, out in front of the communities.
Stay kind of stick.
Yep.
So find out what their Facebook page is, or if they have a website, or the city. Find out what day they are meeting, and then just ask to come in and meet with the people. We love when we get visitors, whether someone just comes in to say hi, or if they want to take a tour. I personally have given many tours. We homeschool our kids, and so the homeschool group loves to come in. We go to this elementary school. We love to see those kids. Yep. It's a lot of fun to kind of show off the stuff that we get to do, and they do get excited.
Yeah.
So I think that's an opportunity for you if you're interested in being a firefighter. Men, women, younger, older, everybody has something to contribute. And I'm to the point now where I'm just as happy to let some of the younger, very enthusiastic members who want to go into the fire. I'm happy to say, yeah, go ahead and do that. I'll run the pump, or I will work on the outside of the building. But I've been inside of a number of fires and have, put on the full mask and everything else. We're all trained to do all parts of the fire scene, and some people are just more energetic.
Yep.
And so I'm happy to, I'm at the point where it's like I don't need to hoof axes and hose for 45 minutes and then come out feeling, like my back hurts. So I'm just happy to let those, 20 somethings do it. But what's great is that skill level has helped me in many other areas of my life. And so if you're interested in that, reach out to your local fire department. If you're in Clear Lake, or you're in Balsam Lake, or you're in, St. Croix Falls, Dresser, there's fire departments throughout Polk County that really could use your assistance. First responders, same thing. The ambulance services are really looking for help. We are lucky enough to have a full-time ambulance service in St. Croix Falls. That's why Lakes Region's supervisor jumped in the water to help you and was there so quickly. Many and most of our ambulance services are still somewhat volunteer, paid per call type services, and they rely on citizens to get trained as a EMT or a paramedic and then join them, and there is in need as well. So there's a lot of things to do.
There's other benefits too, right? Like you and I were talking this morning. It's that second family. You do feel a sense of connection. Like with our group, right? We're close friends. Your kids have watched my kids, right? We go do picnics. We have the Christmas party. And it's hard even with our busy lives, to commit on a specific day every week. And then the call interruptions in the middle of the day or at night when you're sleeping. Unfortunately, holidays and birthdays do get affected, but that's that kind of that calling. We do it because we want to. There's that downside, and that's why it's so like your wife and my wife are super appreciative of what we do, and they're okay with that sacrifice. They're proud of us.
Sometimes at 2 a.m. if the pager goes off, my wife's not as appreciative, but she understands, and that's part of the deal too. I mean, there's a certain type of person that probably likes to do fire or law enforcement, a little bit of an adrenaline junkie that when the pager goes off, you're excited to get up and run out the door. But it is work. So if you're interested in that kind of a commitment, you do get lots of skills. You build up your courage so you can jump into ponds if necessary. But anyway, I just wanted to have everybody on here. I wanted to acknowledge your sacrifice and the work that you did on that day to save a life, and that's not something that doesn't go unnoticed. I would love to follow up with the paramedic from Lakes Regions as well. I haven't seen him on since then, but he also jumped in and did that, and then the bystander.
And the bystander, yep. I mean, he did go in. He did help us get that guy out, and he was cold.
He was wet too.
But he's like, I'm cold, I'm out. He bailed, but that's okay. But we still thank him nonetheless. He did help us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, on behalf of DrydenWire, I want to thank you for watching today, and I'm glad that Joe could make it into the studio to just be acknowledged for the work that he does. It's a team effort. While he happened to be in the right place at the right time, and as a trained person, whether you're a police officer, a firefighter, an EMT, there's always going to be the right place at the right time where God puts you in the place to affect a positive change. And I really believe that this person would not be here had Joe not been in the right place at the right time, and that was not by accident. So I'm super excited to be a part of that team and to be just the brother sisterhood of firefighting in general. Is just an honor to wear that helmet and be able to say that I'm part of that. So thank you for being a good leader, for a great trainer, and thank you, Ben, for letting us be on this platform so that we can share these stories. And so on behalf of DrydenWire, have a great day, stay warm, and we will catch you on the next one. Have a great day.